And I think that a lot of the time Primark and all these other industries will pass the buck, because what they do is that they aren't directly employing the people that are making their clothes. They work with suppliers, and they say that they can't really trace the suppliers, and there's only so far that they can go, and they all claim to have social responsibility clauses in their in their contracts, etc., etc. But it's actually quite hard to trace a lot of the time, and I think that just the whole industry, it's a very throwaway kind of fashion culture. They are just driving down the prices so that it's actually cheaper to go and buy in Primark than it is to go to a second-hand shop. And some people will argue, well, where are you going to get your materials to make recycled fashion unless we do have this throwaway culture? But I mean, the excess is just way beyond anything that the recycled fashion industry is ever using. Just tons and tons of fabric is exported to the developing world, and it's having a really negative impact on the communities in the developing world. For example, in Africa, there's a lot of people who are clothes makers, and they obviously get their income from making clothes to the local communities. But with the advent of the sort of big kind of charity sector and all this kind of all the excess material that is got given to charity shops, a lot of it is put into massive bundles, put on a ship, sent over to Africa, and then people go and buy these sort of bundles of clothes and sell these clothes off at a lot cheaper than they would sell obviously the handmade materials which are employing people. So instead of employing 10 people to make clothes for the local community, they've got one person that's selling these excess items from the Western world. So there's so many other impacts that we kind of don't see and aren't aware of.
I am quite horrified by the volume of clothing that people are buying. It does really concern me. The way that clothes are being currently manufactured is modern day slavery, and it will be looked back upon in future as absolutely horrific. The fact that people are managing to block that out of their conscious thought, I don't understand it. I couldn't go into Primark and shop in there personally. I think there is not only a gap in the market just to create products that, yes, they're not made in sweatshops and they're not made from cotton that's being grown on farms that's used the most horrendous pesticide, which means they can't grow their own food anymore. I think there is a need to source better and to manufacture better, but I think what Remade in Leeds offers is a lot deeper than that. It reconnects local people to how clothes are made, and it just sort of raises awareness of where do these materials come from, who does make these clothes. We don't ask any of these questions in our consumer life. We don't question this. You don't see any evidence of the production or the factories. When you walk into a shop, you just see this sort of branded image of these perfect clothes. And I think that having a studio in a local area where people can come in and see the industrial machines running, I think it offers a much sort of deeper opportunity for people to kind of think about whether they do need to buy new clothes, and being able to offer a repair service and things. We can have a larger impact than just sourcing ethically for our main collection.
Get kids actually getting back in touch with nature and back in touch with the earth. It's all my parents' generation and all their parents' generation, you could sort of name what the trees were and you knew what plants were, and we live in this really weird kind of sort of lifetime where we're so disassociated from the world that we belong to. We're used to concrete and tarmac and electricity, but getting back to just really the simple pleasures in life, like growing stuff and having a kind of relationship and respect to the world and to the ecosystem that we live in. And that might all sound really hippy dippy, but I'm all for technological development. I'm all for all the kind of benefits that we are now receiving as a result. We've got these amazing machines, we've got computers, and we can talk to people across the other side of the world, and we have such an understanding of what's going on, and that's all brilliant. but there still needs to be a bit of a step back so that we kind of appreciate what we're using and the finite resources that we have, because we're buggered if we don't, basically. Like, I work quite a lot in climate change development issues, and I see through the work that I do with voluntary organisations the effects that climate change is having on the developing world. People are dying as a result of climate change. They've got statistics, and statistics can be a bit empty and void, but they say that at the moment 300,000 people a year are dying as a result of climate change. And that climate change is brought about by us using cars, by us flying willy-nilly, by us buying mass-produced stuff that breaks and has to be replaced, by us having a fashion industry where thousands of tons of cloth are produced, causing lots of CO2, all these kinds of things. And we can't stop development, but we can change the kind of development, and I think that's what Transitions Town is sort of saying. It's like, it is bringing back to the locale, growing our own veg locally, maybe having to give up things that we love. I can't imagine a world with bananas, but maybe bananas are going to become that kind of treat, I don't know, caviar or a bottle of expensive wine or something, because it's just not sustainable to have things like that sold on the global scale. And I think maybe we need to get back to the value of what clothes are made, because stuff is sold at an artificially low price. Primark is selling things at an artificially low price, and you can see the effects that's having by kids working in factories, by women working in factories and not being allowed toilet breaks because they'll lose their job, but it's the only job that's going for them. So it's a real problem.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.